Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing the RTX 4080 in Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, this time with the Unobtanium settings. These are the maximum settings in the game that you can unlock by using this console command right here in the launch options of the game. Now, we're playing at 4K resolution to start this off. The temporal upscaling that we're using is DLSS, but it is disabled at the moment, so it's not upscaling from a lower resolution right now. And as you can see, we got the Unobtanium settings, and this is gonna be insane. I'm actually gonna disable motion blur, but that's the only change that I'm gonna do in the preset. It's maximum settings in this game. I'm really looking forward to this. Also, I didn't show you the desktop this time around, but we're using an i5 13600K, overclocked to 5.5 GHz and 32 GB of DDR5 in dual channel. Oh my goodness, this is so pretty. Okay, now this game already looked insanely good on ultra settings, and I'm not really seeing that big of a difference, honestly, but it is way more intensive. On ultra settings and 4K resolution native, we were seeing around 40 frames per second with the RTX 4080, sometimes down into the 30s, sometimes up into the higher 40s and so on. But here with Unobtanium settings, it just gets wrecked completely. Oh my. Nope, this is definitely not the way to go if you want to actually play the game. But if you want to take some screenshots, for example, yeah, I mean, you should use these settings, I guess. They look absolutely fantastic. Now, I hear that with these settings, even the RTX 4090 struggles a lot, so you need DLSS to make it playable. Here we go. This is fixed DLSS on quality, so just a normal DLSS implementation, and we're getting 40s now and lower 30s. So now we're getting around the same FPS as 4K native with ultra settings, even a little bit lower than that sometimes. Look in this direction, for example. Damn, this is really intensive. It might actually drop still from 30 FPS. Holy crap. Alright, yep, 29 right there. If you overclock the card a little bit, you can actually achieve 30 plus 100% of the time, I guess. But it is looking absolutely amazing still. I mean, there is basically no difference coming from native res to DLSS quality in this title when you are at 4K resolution. The only difference that I saw was the clouds actually look a little bit fuzzy at times. You can see a lot of noise there, flickering. Yeah, it's pretty weird. There's a spaceship over there, and look at that. Look at the detail on that little thing over there flying away. Oh my. Games like Starfield, for example, actually run kind of like this at native resolution 4K, and they look 10 times worse than this one. Yet Mr. Todd still says, oh, you might need to upgrade your PC to play our game. Our game is next gen. Yeah, it is. We have optimized it. No, you haven't, Mr. Todd, but you don't optimize crap for some reason. It's a shame. It's a big shame. Anyways, this truly looks like a next-gen title, right? It is absolutely gorgeous, and it performs like one at the same time. And it's not really the worst performing game in 2023, even with Unobtanium settings enabled. There are games that are more intensive than this one, mainly those that use some ray tracing as well, and path tracing, for example, Alan Wake 2, but that one also looks like a next-gen title. That's really pretty, going for more of a realistic vibe, you know, instead of this super saturated, vibrant, full of detail look. But I mean, I would say this looks better than Alan Wake 2, just because I like these types of graphics a little bit more, you know. Look at the detail as well. Texture detail is insane in this one as well, guys. Holy crap. Hello, Jack. How's it going? Good to see you here in this video as well. Look at that tree from a distance as well. With a 3060 on medium settings, that tree was just a blob. But now, that's insane. Draw distance of the shadows is still not Unobtanium like. I thought it wouldn't really change with a zooming in. But hey, they do change. They just pop out of the image. Anyways, I don't have healing and I'm half HP. That's bad. I think we should probably test it out using a lower DLSS setting, right? This is still a bit too much. Let's do performance, which looks very good. I'm actually going to use biased in this one right here, because that upscales and biases it towards a 4K output resolution. and we are at 4K, so maybe it's not going to do anything. But yeah, it should look a little bit better than fixed, and it still looks insane on performance. DLSS performance looks very good. The water quality suffers the most, I think, when it comes to playing with DLSS or FSR upscaling. Yeah, right there, for example, by the other shore, something weird is happening. It's really, really bad looking, actually. So aside from the water, everything else looks very, very pretty, even with upscaling from a 1080p image. That's what performance DLSS does at 4K. Yeah, it's just a little bit softer than quality and native res, but all of the details are still preserved. It's like you are using some TAA anti-aliasing or temporal anti-aliasing on top of a native resolution image. I'm curious about the fixed mode under DLSS. So we're getting 55, 56 FPS here with biased, and with fixed scaling mode, which is just the traditional DLSS, it gets us 55, 56. So exactly, the biased option just biases it towards a 4K output resolution. And right now, our output resolution is 4K. Biased and fixed are exactly the same thing. Okay, it's time now to test some FSR 3 with frame generation. Unfortunately, frame generation from DLSS 3 is not really working at the moment in this game. And now I've set the scaling quality to quality, so it's basically the same as FSR 3 quality, but with frame generation on top. And guys, the water looks a little bit more noisy, a little bit fuzzier in some areas. Yeah, you can definitely clearly see the noise right there, for example, but everything else looks very, very good. And now we're getting 60 plus frames per second in this area. It's not gonna be 60 plus all of the time. Also, I'm sorry about my voice today. I'm a bit sick, so yeah. Anyway, yeah, this feels really smooth now. Definitely smoother than the 50 and 40 FPS that we were seeing previously. But the thing is, input lag wise, you can clearly notice it at this point. So although we're seeing 60 FPS and on YouTube that might be very impressive and look very smooth and impressive, in terms of input lag, it's more around like 30, 35, maybe 40 frames per second. Also, something that I noticed and is very, very noticeable with FSR 3 upscaling and frame generation on is that there are a lot of little artifacts around the iron sights of this weapon. You can clearly see some lines over there. That's something that happens with FG enabled in this game. I hope the Nvidia's frame generation fixes that when that comes out. Also, we're dropping into the 50s finally, so it will still drop, okay? But aside from those little visual imperfections here and there, it is still looking absolutely amazing. Let's try it with like performance FSR 3. Oh, that bumps things up to like 80 frames per second. But of course, now we got a ton of more noise. You can clearly see it. The visual artifacts on the crosshairs, well, the iron sights, look even worse at the moment, more pronounced, you know. And the water also looks super, super soft right now. So it is gonna be 60 plus FPS all of the time here. It's a shame that frame generation from Nvidia is still not in the game, but I really hope when it comes, it will look better than this. Because usually, when enabling frame generation with DLSS quality at 4K in other titles, it still looks really insane. Now it's time for 1440p resolution with DLSS again. No upscaling enabled at the moment though, and maximum settings and Unobtanium. And oh my god, it still drops into the 30s and low 30s as well. Whoa, I was not expecting that. Okay. Whoa, that's actually crazy. Obviously, it was getting like 20 FPS at 4K using these settings, native. And now it is above 30 FPS, so you could play like this. There's no point, obviously, because on ultra settings it actually gets 60 plus 100% of the time. And it looks similar at the same time, right? But hey, I guess it is playable. It is better than a cinematic experience, that's for sure. So we'll need some quality DLSS to make it playable, or at least better. Oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about, 60 FPS. Much better, guys, much better. Oh, yes, okay, now it still drops into the 50s. Yeah, imagine if they had called this the ultra settings. I'm glad that they put this behind a console command, like kind of hidden settings in the game, and called them Unobtanium, because it's so intensive. None of the current GPUs can run this flawlessly, right? Lastly, let's check it out at 1080p resolution, native first, using the same max settings, and look at that. Oh my god, it's still dropping. It still can't do 60 FPS even at 1080p native resolution. That is so damn intensive. Whoa, down into the 40s at times. That's crazy! Again, guys, if you want the adequate settings for the RTX 4080 in this game, I have tested them out. It's in the link down below in the description to another video. I tested it on ultra settings, 4K, 1440p, 1080p with and without DLSS, and it ran absolutely fantastic with every resolution. This video is just for fun to see how much more intensive it is than ultra settings and how much better it looks. And in terms of the looks, I feel like it's just kind of the same again. It might look slightly better in some areas, like shadows, for example. The water might actually also look a little bit better than it does on ultra settings, but that's about it, guys. There's not that big of a difference to justify the insane performance decrease from these settings. Still, it's nice to take a look at it, right? Lastly, let's do fixed quality DLSS here, and finally, we are above 60 FPS. Oh my gosh, but it's still dropping into the 60s. I'm not sure if it will stay above 60 FPS the entire time. Oh my god. It's kind of crazy to think that this is 720p being upscaled to 1080p. And I mean, it looks very similar to native 1080p anyways, because it's quality DLSS. But yeah, it's a 4080, almost dropping from 60 FPS. But yeah, that's been it for this one. If you have a 1080p monitor, I guess you could utilize Unobtanium settings to actually play the game with the RTX 4080 with some DLSS at the same time. If you don't have a 1080p monitor, go watch my other video testing this on Ultra in this GPU. And I'll catch you in the next one very soon. Thanks for watching. Love you all. Bye-bye.